Yo, what is up with y'all boys and girls, man? Hey, it's Jay Briggs here continuing to cook up this NFL action, man. I'm super excited about this week, man. We got some marquee matchups this week. We got three games that I think are three of the best games we've had all year. We got Chiefs Dolphins in London. We got Eagles Cowboys in the late window. And then Sunday night, we got Buffalo Cincinnati. So three really good games. There's also a lot of other money making opportunities. And, of course, I'm going to cook up every single game right here, right now, man. If you think this is something you'll enjoy, smash that like button for your guy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're rocking with me, rock with me. Of course, I got premium plays over at the site. We've been really profitable in the NFL the last year or so, especially these last few weeks, man. Let's keep the momentum rolling forward in the NFL. Again, if you're rocking with me, rock with me. I'm active on Twitter all day as well, man. There's a link for that in the description if you want to follow me there. Hey, some money making Sunday. I'm excited to be back with my guys talking some football. Without further ado, let's make some money this week. Let's keep the momentum rolling forward, and let's hop right into this week's NFL action. First game up, man. We're in Germany with it. Early start time, man. You gotta get up, gotta get up to watch this one. Definitely one of the better games on this week. I'm surprised this is in Germany. I'm thoroughly surprised. But we got the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs laying 1.5 here in this one. I cannot wait to put my eyes on this game. This game starts at 8:30 for me, so I gotta be up ready to watch it. Here's my thought process on this game, though. What have we seen from the Miami Dolphins this season? They have beaten the living hell out of the bad teams and really haven't shown up when they played the good teams. Let's run through their schedule. Their best win on the season, the best win the Miami Dolphins have, is over the Los Angeles Chargers, who have a losing record. Let's just call a spade a spade. They beat them 36-34 to begin the season. They beat the Patriots, blew the doors off the Broncos, got their doors blown off by the Buffalo Bills out on the road, 48-20. It's a 28-point loss, man. They did not even show up in that game. They did turn around and beat up on the Giants, turn around after that, beat up on the Panthers, lost to the Eagles. They weren't really competitive in that one either. 31-17-point loss. And then last week they beat up on the Patriots 31-17. So, again, they've lost to the good teams in the NFL, the Bills, the Eagles, and they've beaten up on a lot of bad teams. Their best win is over the Los Angeles Chargers. Well, it's hard for me to take you to go then and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, a team who doesn't do a lot of losing. Laying points with the Chiefs all year is usually not the most profitable spot to be, but the Chiefs do win a lot of games. Like, straight up, they win a lot of games, and I think they win this one here. I'm not overcomplicating this one. I'm taking Kansas City. I'm going to lay the points. It's only 1.5. Money line, I think, is a solid place to be as well if you don't want to lay the points and you rather pay a little juice. Here's what I think, man. I'm not looking too much into the Chiefs losing last week to the Broncos. They had kicked the living crap out of the Broncos for so long. The Broncos finally had to get on the board. And then if you watched that game last week, that game was a little funky. Let's just call it a spade a spade. It was. There were some questionable calls in that game. I think the Chiefs bounce back here. I think the Chiefs right now currently are still better than the Dolphins. If I had to pick a team coming out of the AFC right now today, it would still be the Kansas City Chiefs. Best quarterback in the league, one of the best head coaches in the league, Andy Reid. The Dolphins, I like the Dolphins. I do think they're a top 10 team in this league. But until they beat a good team, I cannot bet them to beat a good team. The Dolphins, I think they're going to lose this game. I think Kansas City does what they do a lot of, is win football games. Give me Kansas City. I'm going to lay the 1.5 with them here in this one. Next game up, man, we got the Seattle Seahawks out on the road facing the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens laying a pretty nice number here, laying 6 at the crib. And I do like the Ravens in this one. I'm going to lay the points with them. You guys know I'm not that high on Seattle. I think Seattle is overrated. And I think the line is very indicative of that. Hell, when Detroit was coming in here a couple weeks ago, the line was 3. This line is 6 for a reason. The Seattle Seahawks are not that good. I understand that their record may say so at 5-2, but when you, in hindsight, they're not that good. Beat the Browns, they're not that good. Beat the Cardinals, they're not that good. The Giants, the Panthers, 4 of their 5 wins are against teams that are just not that good. The only win in the grand scheme of things that's solid is the Detroit Lions. They also got blown out at home by the Los Angeles Rams 30-13. I'm just not high on the Seattle Seahawks, man. I think Geno is he's better than I've gave him credit for, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think he's that good. And I think this is a terrible spot for the Seattle Seahawks out on the road, facing an AFC team in the Ravens that is quite frankly just rolling. I know that they got backdoored by the Cardinals last week, but they had firm control of that game for most of the game. We saw them completely dismantle the Detroit Lions at home 38-6. This team has been rolling for quite a few weeks. Their only loss in four of their last 5 games was against their division rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in a series that's always tight if you know that series. I'm not overcomplicating this one. I think the Ravens are just head and shoulders the better team. I expect them to come out here and win this game comfortably. I think they win by a touchdown to 10 points, maybe even 2 touchdowns. I think they're that much better than the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks get exposed a bit this week. They have been playing well, but they haven't been playing any top-tier competition. They're going from playing some of the worst teams in the league to playing a top 5 team in the NFL out on the road. I think they get the brakes beat off of them. I'm taking Lamar Jackson. My MVP favorite right now today. I think he has another big game. I think the Ravens win comfortably. I'll lay the points with them here in this one. Next game up, we got the Arizona Cardinals out on the road facing the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland laying 11 at the crib, man. Pretty big number for the Browns. I do kind of understand how the Browns got there. The Browns have played their best football this season at the crib. They started the year out 24-3 win over their division rival, the Cincinnati Bengals, banged them up. They also beat up on the Titans at the crib 27-3. They also beat the San Francisco 49ers at the crib. At the time, I thought the Niners were still the best team in the NFL. They won that game 19-17. So the Browns have played their best football at the crib. They also did get their doors blown off by the Ravens in that one at the crib. But I understand why the line is 11, but I'm here to tell you right now I'm not laying 11 with the Browns. I am taking the points with the Arizona Cardinals in this one. Joshua Dobbs is no longer the quarterback for Arizona. He has moved on. He's now in Minnesota. We're going to see Clayton Tune get the start here for the Arizona Cardinals, and I like Tune. I think he does enough to keep the Cardinals within the number. He kind of reminds me of Joshua Dobbs, a guy who's not going to necessarily wreck the car. He's just going to do what is asked of him, progress this offense, and I think that's enough to keep them within this number. The Browns are definitely the better team. But as you saw a few seconds ago, the Arizona Cardinals are 4-4 ATS. They have competed in damn near every game they've played this year. And when you go back and look at it, and I think they compete here. There hasn't been a single game where I've said, damn, the Cardinals just aren't competing today. Like every game they come out there with their best foot forward. That doesn't mean they've covered every game, but they've definitely been in every game, at least in the fourth quarter. And I think they'll be in this one as well. Last time we saw Deshaun Watson on the field, he looked atrocious. I was on the Browns that game, I believe, and I was saying, can they bring in P.J. Walker? It looks like he's making his return back to the field in this one. He hasn't looked that good this season. This is a great tune-up spot for him, and I do expect the Browns to win this game. But I'm not laying double digits with this team. I think the Cardinals compete, keep this one close, keep this one within the number. I'm going to take Arizona plus the points here in this one. Next game up, man, we got the Tampa Bay Bucks out on the road facing the Houston Texans. Texans home favorites, laying 3 at the crib here in this one. This is how I see this game, man. I don't think the Texans are head and shoulders better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I actually think these two teams are pretty even in my mind. I think the only reason Houston is favored in this game is because they're at home. And if you want to tell me that's your angle for taking and laying the points with the Texans, I won't argue with you, but for me, I'd rather have the points in my back pocket in these type games. We can't forget that the Texans lost last week to the only team that didn't have a win. They did lose to the Panthers last week, 15-13. We had the Panthers last week. It was our top play, but they did lose to the Panthers last week. The Tampa Bay Bucks, man, I know they've lost 4 or 5, 3 straight, but in hindsight, those losses, they're not that bad. Let me explain. Lost to Philly, the defending Super Bowl champs. They're just head and shoulders better than Tampa. They lost to Detroit. Detroit is, I think, one of the 4 best teams in the NFC, so no shame in that. They lost to Atlanta. It's a division game, 50-50 game. Could have gone either way. They lost that one. And then they lost to Buffalo, a team who I think is just head and shoulders better than them. They did compete in that game, though. I think this is a bounce back spot for Tampa. And getting points on the road against a team who I don't think is flat out better than them, I think is the place to be. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a nail biter. Me personally, I'd rather have the points in my back pocket. I think defensively the Bucs can do enough. Baker Mayfield will move the football a little bit here in this game. Give me Tampa plus the 3. I can't trust Houston after what they did last week. You lose to the worst team in football, you definitely shouldn't be laying points the next week. That's just how I see it. Give me Tampa plus the points. Here it is. Next game up, man, we got the Chicago Bears out on the road facing the New Orleans Saints. Saints laying 8 at the crib, man. I would not lay 8 with the Saints. As you can see on the screen, the Saints are one of the worst ATS teams in the league, and laying a big number like this is just someplace I would not be. I have, and I will say, the Bears are one of the worst teams in the NFL. This is a team that only has, 2 wins over the past 2 seasons? Something like that. They're that bad. I wouldn't grab the points with them either. I don't want to catch a falling knife. So rather than mess with the side, I'm here to tell you I'm not betting a side in this game. If I were to bet this game, I would bet the total. I would take the under in this game. Here's why. I think the best unit for both teams on the field is their defense. The Bears, we just saw them trade for Montez Sweat, trying to beef up this defense for years to come, I'm assuming. They signed him to a long-term extension. Their best unit on the field is defense, and the Saints' offense is terrible. That's been their downside all season is their offense. I don't trust them in this spot in either. And then the Saints' defense is their best unit. The Bears, we know what their offense is. I don't trust them to move the football a ton. I think this game is going to be a lot of mucking around, a lot of running the football, quite a few punts. And we look up at the end of the game, and this game is very low scoring and fell underneath the total. That's how I see it. So I wouldn't lay points with the Saints. I wouldn't grab them with the Bears either. I would look at a total in this game, and I would take the under. Next game up, man, we got the Minnesota Vikings out on the road facing the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons home favorites laying 4 at the crib. I am taking the Falcons in this one. I'm not going to overcomplicate this game. I just think the Vikings lost too much to overcome. I think many people think that they can just replace Kirk Cousins. I think people think Kirk Cousins is like some middle-of-the-pack quarterback. He's just a guy that can be replaced, and you can just plop another guy in there. He's going to do the exact same. That is not the case at all. Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He is. His numbers suggest that. His numbers back that up the past few seasons. And I think it's going to be pretty bad for the Vikings in this game out on the road. I think Atlanta, a team that typically plays better football at home, will be able to run the football on a bad Minnesota defense, control the clock, and I think they win this game comfortably. I am aware how bad Atlanta is against the spread, but I think that creates some value for us here in this game. Minnesota, I got to sell my stock on them, man. When we think of the Vikings, we think Justin Jefferson. We think Kirk Cousins. We think high explosive offense. We think mediocre at best defense. And we think play to your competition type team. That's what I think when I think of Minnesota. Without those two guys, man, they're two main guys. I will not back them. I think we see them struggle mightily. This is a head coach that hasn't really have much experience without these guys either. I think Atlanta wins comfortably. I think they run the football, control the clock, play good defense. I think they win here. I'm going to take the Falcons and Taylor Heineke. I'm going to lay the points with them at the crib here in this one. Next game up, man, we got the Los Angeles Rams out on the road facing the Green Bay Packers. Packers home favorites, laying 3 at the crib. I want to take the Los Angeles Rams. I think that is the play here in this game, but currently we still don't know if Matthew Stafford is playing or not. He missed practice on Friday. He's listed as questionable for this game. If he's in, I'm on the Rams. If he's not, I'm going to leave this game alone entirely. I'm not laying points with the Green Bay Packers. I understand they're at home. Historically, they've played their best football at home. But this is a bad football team this year. Let's just call a spade a spade. This is a bad football team this year. Jordan Love has not looked as good as advertised. I'm worried about Matt LaFleur as a head coach without a Hall of Fame not head coach, but I'm worried about Matt LaFleur without a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's always had one of those in Aaron Rodgers outside of now Jordan Love. They've lost 4 games straight, including 2 at home to Detroit and Minnesota, 2 divisional opponents. Lost outright on the road to 2 teams who are not good football teams, in my opinion. 17-13 to the Raiders and then 19-17 to the Broncos. I have seen nothing from the Packers to warrant laying points in this one. I want Matthew Stafford to play. If Stafford plays, I'm on the Rams. I think they do enough to cover this number. Yeah, they got their doors blown off last week, but it was by a good team, the Dallas Cowboys. The Green Bay Packers are far from that. I think the Rams do enough to keep it within the number or win this game outright, but I need Matthew Stafford. Again, Stafford plays, we're on the Rams. Stafford doesn't play, I'm going to leave the game alone entirely. I don't trust Jordan Love in this offense to do much of anything here. It would be a complete shock for me if the Packers came out here and won. I'm going to take the Rams plus the points. Here it is. Next game up, we got the Washington Commanders out on the road facing the New England Patriots. Patriots laying 3 at the crib. Tough game, but I am going to take the New England Patriots and lay the points with them at the crib. I think the Washington Commanders are one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, the same thing can be said for the New England Patriots, but I will say at least I've seen them play better football the last 2 weeks than they were playing at the beginning of the season. I know the Commanders have the better record, but I could argue that the Patriots are playing the better football right now. The Commanders started the season off playing well, and since then have completely downward spiraled. The Patriots, they beat Buffalo 2 weeks ago in their best performance of the year, won 29-25 at home. And last week, they just lost to a team that's head and shoulders better than them, the Miami Dolphins. I did like what I saw from them in certain spurts in that game, though. They're at home playing a bad team, and these are usually the spots where New England thrives. I'm going to take them here. I'm going to lay the points. The Commanders, man, I sold all my stock on the Commanders when I seen them get their doors blown off in primetime at the crib by the Chicago Bears. That was the day the nail in the coffin was driven in. I even had them last week against the Eagles. They had chances to cover that game, ended up pushing. They always play the Eagles tough. And when they don't, that's when you know the Commanders are not playing Commander-style football. Again, I think they're one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they're not playing all that well right now. When the Patriots are a favorite, they usually win and cover. They're one of the best favorites in the NFL. They're one of the worst underdogs in the NFL going back the past few seasons. Here as a favorite, at home, going up against a bad team, I think they win comfortably. I would look at laying the points with New England, with Mac Jones at the crib. Here it is. Next game up, we got the Indianapolis Colts out on the road facing the Carolina Panthers. Panthers home dogs in this one, getting 2.5 at the crib. Hey, the Panthers were our play of the week last week, man. We thought that they would go in and beat the Houston Texans and finally get their first win of the season. And now they're home dogs again the following week against a team very similar to the Texans, a team that had played its best football early in the season, and a team who I don't think is just head and shoulders better than the Panthers. I think there's a bad stigma on the Panthers. I think many people actually believe the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL, and I'm here to tell you that they're not. They just played a tougher schedule than some of the other bad teams in the NFL did to begin the season. That's why their record would suggest that they're the worst team in the NFL, but they're not. I wouldn't lay points with the Colts here in this one. The Colts are coming off of a home game where they just got their doors blown off by a Saints offense that has struggled for most of the season. They let New Orleans come in there and hang 38 points on them at the crib. The Colts also just played 4 of their last 5 at home. Now they're out on the road. Last time we saw them out on the road, the Jags beat them up 37-20, a 17-point loss there. You know, lost in overtime at home to the Rams. They did beat the Titans, solid win, but then, like I said, the Saints blew them out last week, and they should have beat the Browns, but fell short now and let a backup quarterback in P.J. Walker hang 39 points on them. I think they struggle out here on the road. I really do. I think Carolina's better than many people are giving them credit for. I think as the season progresses, this team will get better and prove that they're not the worst team in the NFL. I still think with that stigma on them, we're getting great value. I would look at taking the Panthers straight up money line or plus the points here in this one. I think they go back-to-back. Give me Carolina at the crib here in this one. Next game up, man, we got the New York Giants out on the road facing the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders home favorites laying 1.5 at the crib. Hey, the Raiders fired their coach this past weekend, Josh McDaniels. You guys know at Pickdawgz, we've been saying they should have done that a long time ago. Josh McDaniels as a coordinator, he's okay. As a head coach, terrible. One of the worst in the NFL by the numbers. He's not that good of a head coach. The problem is when you fire your coach mid-season, you're basically just elevating somebody from within the staff. So, I mean, this guy's already been there. I don't think it improves much for the Raiders. I will say, when you fire a coach mid-season, there is times where that following week it creates a spark for that team and they come out and play hard for the new coach. I just don't want to lay points with the Raiders. Short, sweet, simple. Let me preference this by saying this. I had the Giants last week against the Jets, and that was one of the more frustrating non-wins that I've had in the last few seasons in the NFL. It pushed in the end, but they should have won that damn football game. They looked terrible offensively last week. Let's call a spade a spade. But they still had the lead in the end. Dayball, you should have ran that football with Saquon Barkley. At least play for the win. Don't put it in Gano's hand. He's been terrible all year. Anyways, all that said, these are two bad teams. But with Daniel Jones coming back, I'm going to take the Giants plus the points here in this one. Daniel Jones is not that bad. That's what I'm going to say. The NFL right now has a quarterback problem. This is one of the worst years watching NFL quarterbacks in recent memory. With that being said, I kind of understand why the Giants paid Daniel Jones the money. I wouldn't have paid him that goddamn much money, but when you look around the scope of the NFL, there's some bad, and I mean really bad quarterback play going on. And seeing how the Giants have looked without Daniel Jones, you kind of understand why they like him in this building. I think him being back on the team kind of creates a spark for the Giants, getting their franchise quarterback back in there. I think they'll be able to run the football on the Raiders. I think they'll be able to control the clock. I think the Giants win this football game. That's how I see it. Not one of my favorite games of the week. I'm going to be honest with you. But I'm not laying points with the Raiders. Not even with the new coach. Give me the Giants plus the 1.5. Here in this. Next game up, man, we got my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, out on the road facing the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles home favorites laying 3 at the crib here in this one. I think this is one of the best games on television this week. We got a few great games this week, and this is definitely one of them. Here's how I see it. Of course, short, sweet, simple. You guys already knew this. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys plus the points, and I'm taking them straight up on the money line. But let me break it down onto why I am doing that. The Dallas Cowboys, we just don't lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't do it. We're 7-10 last 10 against Philadelphia. We don't do it. Last season we did split. We went 1-1 with Philly. But you got to remember what happened. The game that they beat us in Philadelphia, Dak Prescott did not play. The game that we beat them here in Dallas, Jalen Hurts did not play. The one time we've seen Dak versus Jalen, Dak outplayed him tremendously. I will say that was early in his career when it was still bad Jalen. He has since turned into a completely different guy. But I think the Cowboys match up really well with Philly. I've been saying this for quite some time. I think this is going to be a great game. But I don't think Philadelphia is better than Dallas. And I've said that for 2 straight years. I don't think they're better than us. I just don't see it. So, a little homerish. I'll call a spade a spade. It is. But I think it's for good reason. Again, we do not lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. Dak Prescott in his career, it's something I forgot the stat off the top of my head, but I think he's only lost to Philly maybe once. Dak Prescott has dominated the Philadelphia Eagles in his career. He looked really good last week. Hey, people only like to harp on Dak when he plays bad. That's the only time you hear about Dak. How about how good he looked last week? You ain't hear a peep. I'm here to tell you right now, I think Dallas goes into Philly and beat these boys outright. You can call it a homer. You can call me a Philly hater. You can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, I have a great feeling I'm going to be riding this one. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys money line in Philadelphia here in this one. Sunday Night Football, man, another really great game. We got the Buffalo Bills out on the road facing the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals home favorites laying 2.5 at the crib. Short, sweet, simple in this one as well, man. I'm rocking with Joe Shiesty and the Cincinnati Bengals, man. Remember, last season this game got canceled. That was the Damar Hamlin game. This game did not get concluded. But if you also remember in that game, right before Damar Hamlin went down, the Cincinnati Bengals were a few minutes away from starting to really kick the ass of the Buffalo Bills. Man, the Bills have not looked good this year. Let's call a spade a spade. Stumbled last week against Tampa Bay. Got beat by the New England Patriots. Really struggled against the Giants. I have not liked what I've seen in 3 straight weeks from the Buffalo Bills. They got lost in London to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have not played well, really, in my mind, since the Miami game, and that seems so far long ago. They're out on the road playing a Bengals team who is starting to get better. Beat San Francisco last week. That happened out on the road. Really good win. Beat Seattle 17-13. Smacked up the Cardinals. They did lose to Tennessee out on the road. That was a head-scratcher, but it happened. Other than that, though, I've liked what I've seen from Cincinnati as the year has progressed. Remember, they did this last year. They started off the season really rough, and then they went on a tear to end the season. The reason they started this season out so rough is Joe Burrow was just not 100%. He was dealing with that calf injury from the offseason, the preseason. He's healthy now. He's hitting that back leg. He's firing. Hey, all signs to me point to Cincinnati. Bengals have been playing the better football. They're improving as the year have gone on. They were smacking up the Bills last year. The Bills, they have not looked good in 3 straight weeks. They got smacked last year. Or they were heading to getting smacked last year by the Bengals. I think the Bengals smack them up at the crib. That's just how I see it. Give me Cincinnati. Give me Joe Brrr. Give me Joe Shiesty. Give me Jamar Chase, T. Higgins and company. I'm going to lay the points with them at the crib. In our last and final football game of the week, Monday Night Football, we got the Los Angeles Chargers out on the road facing the New York Jets. Jets, home dogs, getting 3.5 here in this one. I'm fading them boys, man. They were extremely lucky to escape with a win last week, man. Shout out Graham Gano for that, man. If Gano makes that field goal, the Jets have one of the worst losses in, I think, NFL history. I will not forget that they damn near lost to a Giants team that had -9 passing yards last week. That happened. The Giants were down to their 4th-string quarterback, and still damn near beat the Jets, man. Hell of a drive from Zach Wilson, to lead them down, tie the football game, and then win it in overtime. But it really shouldn't have came down to that. I think this Chargers offense lights up this Jets defense this week. I know we haven't seen that a ton this year, but I think that's the case in this one. I know laying the points with the Chargers is not, everybody's favorite place to be. Brandon Staley, I do think, is one of the worst head coaches in the NFL. And the Chargers, more often than not, do play down to their competition. They didn't do it last week, though, as they beat up on a Bears team, and I think they beat up on another bad team this week in the Jets. The Jets were super fortunate to win that game last week. Again, the Giants had -9 passing yards and had a lead with, 20 seconds left to go in the game. Took a last-second field goal from the Jets to tie it up at the end of regulation. If you look that bad, man, against that Giants team, I think Justin Herbert and this offense definitely can come light you up. We'll see. Not one of my favorite games. Hey, the Chargers, again, they play down to their competition more often than not, and that usually is passed down from the head coach. And, of course, I think that's what it is. I'm not a huge Brandon Staley guy, but I think talent for talent, roster for roster, player for player, the Los Angeles Chargers are head and shoulders better than this New York Jets team. Short, sweet, simple for me. I think the Chargers go in here and win this game comfortably, 6 to 10 points. I would lay the points in this one with the Chargers. And that's going to conclude this episode of my NFL Jam Session. As always, I appreciate every last one of you guys watching this video. Smash that like button for your guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're rocking with me, rock with me, man. I got premium plays over at the site. Hey, it's been a really good month for us in the NFL. Really, last year we were profitable. This year we're profitable. It's just we've been seeing the NFL really well. We're trying to keep that momentum rolling forward. If you're rocking with me, rock with me. Of course, like I said a second ago, premium plays are over at the site. It's been your guy, Jay Briggs, man. I'm active on Twitter all day. If you want to follow me there, there's a link in the description. Let's make some money, man. Let's keep it rolling. My NBA Jam Session will be posted here shortly as well, so you guys can watch that for Sunday's action. It's been your guy, Jay Briggs, man. I'll see y'all soon. I'm out of here. Peace.